Welcome to camelbacktrading.org. This is the review of June 16th's price action. Using our proprietary Camelback TradingView market profile, let's review what developed and look at what is ahead for tomorrow. If you want the complete written report, the full strategic plan for next session, and all the specific key levels we are tracking, make sure to head over to our Substack publication right now to get the full plan. Both ES and NQ opened the session with an overnight inventory short. While NQ managed to print a new all-time high during the Globex session, ES kept its overnight range exceptionally tight. At the regular trading hours open, ES immediately took out its overnight high, whereas NQ failed to do so. Beginning early in the session, a definitive downward trend took over as both indices began to one-time frame down for the majority of the day. ES finally paused its downward trajectory midday to establish its afternoon rally high, while NQ found temporary relief later in the session to set its respective rally high. Late in the day, aggressive liquidation pushed the market to new lows. In NQ, this late-day selling manifested as a definitive price probe to the downside, which carries over as a key structural reference for tomorrow. By the closing bell, both indices left behind double distribution profiles. ES holds one distinct set of single prints created during the final 30 minutes of the day, while NQ left two separate sets of single prints, confirming a highly emotional double distribution trend day to the downside. A critical structural nuance to carry forward is the complete lack of excess. NQ holds its current all-time high strictly in Globex, with no regular trading hours excess, and ES similarly lacks any clear buying excess at its all-time high. Ultimately, the daily timeframe for both indices is back to a two-day balance. The weekly is in a developing balance, and the monthly remains up. The bears completely dominated today's structural landscape, sweeping the final market-generated information scores. Looking ahead to tomorrow, the ES daily balance is cleanly defined by Monday's high and today's low. To reclaim yesterday's lost territory, bulls must immediately target today's value area high. Getting back above this level effectively invalidates today's afternoon rally high and allows acceptance back into the upper distribution. However, simply taking out today's high achieves little structurally. The bulls must clear the daily balance high to put the daily time frame back into an upward trend. Just be careful with standard balance rules, as price could face sharp rejection at these extremes. If ES opens inside today's value area, expect a choppy, highly rotational, and indecisive session that will require more intraday information to work with. Conversely, bears want to build on today's late liquidation. Gaining acceptance within the lower distribution or below today's value area low will grant sellers the structural leverage needed to break the daily balance low and shift the daily time frame to down. A clean break below today's low exposes a pocket of visual targets further down, including the recent overnight wide point of control, the weekly gap fill, and the rollover gap fill. For NQ, the setup presents a slightly more defensive structural alignment for the bulls because today's afternoon rally high sits lower in the profile, and the value area high rests precisely at the upper edge of the lower distribution, giving the bears a distinct structural advantage. If the open occurs below the value area low, or if price quickly finds acceptance there, today's low is close enough to serve as an immediate magnet. Breaking today's low officially shifts the daily time frame to down. Sellers also have a distinct price probe from today to defend. As long as price remains below that probe, bears remain firmly in control. Even an open inside value allows bears to lean heavily on the upper edge of the lower distribution as a logical line of defense. Buyers face a steeper uphill battle here. They must reclaim value by trading firmly back above the value area high. If successful, their subsequent structural targets migrate to Monday's high and ultimately the Globex all-time high. Clearing Monday's high will put the daily time frame back to up, but as always, watch for the balance rules at the boundaries. Below today's low, the downside targets remain the same as ES, aiming for the wide point of control and the underlying gap fills. Tomorrow's open relative to today's distributions will dictate whether the sellers maintain their immediate structural velocity or if we find ourselves balancing within today's range. Do not start your morning session anchored to a rigid bias. Let the objective market profile structure and emerging intraday data guide your setups. Remember, if you are going to buy an account with Tradeify, use code CB2724 and help us donate to St. Jude's Hospital 20% this time. Be safe and trade well.